Hi guys, and welcome to this short video that's very beginner friendly, and it's about layering colors. And first I'm going to use a lot of water in this this video. So I'm just taping down my paper here to a piece of cardboard, and I'm just using regular washi tape here. Of course you can use artist tape, and maybe that's wiser, but I find this works fine and doesn't really ruin my paper, so that is good. And the paper is a 300 grams cold pressed paper from Canson Heritage. It's 100% cotton, and I just love this paper, so I tend to work with it a lot. You can see how wobbly the edge is, and that's because I just cut it with some scissors to make sure I had a small piece. And in this exercise you really have to make sure that your paper isn't too big for your brush. You want to be able to control the water so it doesn't dry out for you. I'm doing my first wash, and that's going to be super light, and we're going from light to dark. It's a ground rule in watercolors, and I've just mixed up almost a watery, it's almost water mix here of paint. So I'm just going in with my the water on my brush and just strokes from left to right and right to left to get a nice smooth wash. And just going with water and just dipping in the color from time to time to get some color in there as well. The most important thing is that you keep the edge you are working, the lower edge of your water, make sure it's wet. If it dries out for you, it'll make some annoying lines. So always keep an eye on your edge. And then just work your way down. I tip my paper because I find that it's easier. I think the water flows nicely when you have a little bit of an angle on your paper. And that's a lot easier also if you attach it to a cardboard like this. So there's more reasons to do that. There you go. I'm working my way down, all the way down to the bottom here, and just giving it a little more. As you know, this will dry up very light and you will almost not be able to see it, but I still wanted to give it that shade of gray to the background, so it's not completely white. Just wiping up my edges here, and we can let it dry. And now you can see how light it dried, and it's almost white, but we know that it has this bluish tint to it. And by the way, I'm using Paynes Grey for this, and I'm just mixing up a nice amount of paint here with a lot of water still, but this is a darker shade of grey. 50 shades of grey here. And you can see how it's actually a pretty tough job to keep the edge wet. So work fast and just create a nice line here that you feel like it's a bit organic and feels a bit like a mountainscape. And then just work your way down like you did with the other one. And be careful not to put in any paint where it's beginning to dry, otherwise it'll make blooms and be a little bit annoying. So try to be careful not to do that. And you might try this a couple of times, and even I painted for years, and this can still be a little hard, but it's also a great way to get to know your paints and the way they react to when they are transparent. So now we can dry our edge again, and in a second it'll be dry. Of course you can use a hairdryer for this, and that'll make the process a bit faster. So now we are ready for our next layer, and you can see how the paint actually dried in kind of a direction on that first or the second layer, and that is really beautiful. Yeah, just doing the same again, trying to make a nice profile for this mountainscape while looking out for my edges. Try to work with the tip of your brush when you are doing the edge of the mountain, but with the side of your brush when you are putting down the bigger amount of paint and water. That way you really get the best of your brush for the job. And again, be careful not to go in where it's drying up. I can see that I almost did that here, and I'm not sure why, but my painting dries really fast today. So maybe I should just use more water. But you can experiment with that. Sometimes it depends on the temperature in the room, or a lot of other things. So it can be a little difficult to control. But just try to make sure that it's wet. And now we can dry off our edge again and let the painting dry. There you go. And you can see how the paint dried up in kind of a little bit patchy pattern, but it's okay. But it was because I was a little bit too slow. It's okay. Sometimes it's good. At least you know what went wrong, and then you can learn from it. And it's a good thing to see that I can make mistakes too. Here you go. Just doing the wash with my flat brush and adding a little more paint here while it's still wet. You can see how the mixture of paint gets thicker and thicker, so it'll be nice and layered. And I really think this transition between the very light colors and this mountain creates some depth in this composition. It's beautiful. And I know there's so many variations of this on Pinterest, and go there if you want inspiration for further developing it. There's a lot of inspirations there, and I have a lot of inspiration if you feel like it. I'm Camilla Damsbo Art there as well, so just look me up, and I have so many boards and so many pins because I spent way too much time on there. There you go. I finished this layer as well, and we're just going to dry our edge, and then we can come back to it. And now we're going in to paint the last section of this painting, and that's going to be pine trees. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to paint one more. Okay, that was a teaser. I'm going to paint pine trees in a second, but you are just going to get one more mountain here. Sorry, that was a bit of a spoiler, but I think you'll survive. I hope you'll survive. Otherwise, I would have killed somebody in my YouTube video, and that would be a little embarrassing and not very good. Okay, just again thicker paint and just doing a nice silhouette here. And I just published a new Skillshare class, and it just told me that I had 25 students already, so that is so cool. It's about abstract intuitive landscapes, and you can see the trailer in I just uploaded in a couple of days ago. Okay, now it's dry again, and now I am going to paint pine trees. Just a stroke downwards, and then just these horizontal lines. Don't be too precious about it. Pine trees have a lot of irregularities and look very different. So try not to go to Christmas tree on this painting, but just different sizes and different heights, and try to make them look a little messy and wrong, and then you'll get a nice, beautiful painting. Often it's in watercolors and art, in my opinion anyway, is that beauty happens when you have all these mistakes and irregularities, things that show that it's human and not some machine that created it. And I'm not going to speed this up. You can totally speed it up for yourself if you want to, but I thought I'd give you the chance to just see how my hand moves and how I hold my brush and stuff like that. And if it's boring, and I totally get that, you feel free to just push forward in the video. But I'm not going to talk all the way through here, because I'm not sure I have that much more to say about these trees. Overlap them and create them in different shades, and you'll be fine. now it's the final touches. Yes, I'm talking again. Congratulations to you if you sticked around for this long of the radio silence. I'm just going to remove the masking tape here, just very close to the paper so it doesn't rip. Always be careful to do this, and do it slower than you might feel like, and make sure that the painting is completely dry before you remove it. That was a lot of great tips, let's call it that. Little mom tips, but it's okay. Take it or leave it. I'm just going to remove this one as well. Okay, and it's outside of the frame, but you can see I'm getting closer. Here you go. I think the edge turned out really well, so that is really cool. Just need the top one here. There you go. And now we have our painting finished. There you go. I hope to see you in the next video.